Welcome and welcome back, folks, to a Can Notre Dame marshal in Marcus's first Notre Dame win edition of the Always Irish Show. As always, you can find the program on YouTube. Do it, subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. Helps in the search algorithm. Notifications on. You'll be alerted every time something rattles around in my brain and I hit record. You don't want to miss it. Twitter, search bar Always Irish or at Always Irish Inc. Emails, alwaysirishindy@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want me. You can get me. Call-in show. 312-988-15. So far, so good on the call-in shows. Full call banks every show. Appreciate it. That's what it's there for. It's there for you to do what you do. Well, fellow members of Notre Dame Nation, it appears that the sun has risen. And before you know it, Notre Dame will be back in the stadium Rockne built, and we'll be doing it all over again. Now, what do we make of this Marshall game? And here's maybe a better question. What do you make of the Marshall game now compared to what you made of the Marshall game before Ohio State and that game? I think that's a more interesting question. Like when you ran through the schedule in your head before the season and you thought, all right, Ohio State and then Marshall. I'm asking you what you were thinking about the Marshall game then, and if it's changed at all since the Ohio State game. That's an interesting question to me as far as where you're at in your mind with it, what you want to see Notre Dame accomplish, all of that. Something interesting to think about. It's a good thought exercise. Here's a few initial big picture thoughts from me. This Marshall game is a chance to really, truly, finally settle in and get the Marcus Freeman era going. Now, I know people don't like what I'm going to say next. There were a bunch of weird dynamics the first two ball games of Freeman's tenure. There was. I've said it a million times. That bowl prep and all the weirdness with the scheduling, and Marcus is supposed to be preparing for the bowl game. Just kidding. He's flying all over the country doing national hits because he's now the Notre Dame coach. And you have to do that. It's not a criticism. That's what happens when Notre Dame hires a new coach. So instead of bowl prep, he was doing those obligations. The staff, most of them, instead of bowl prep, yeah, they were kind of doing it, but they had their agents finding them their next job. There was a lot going on. Then you have Ohio State. And then I'm not going to rehash it all. Alma mater, played their top team at one of the top teams in the country at night at their place. Knew everything for Notre Dame. You know the deal. So, while it doesn't make it okay to lose those games because there was weird dynamics, now it's your chance to get this thing really going. All right? You're back at home. You're against a clearly inferior opponent. 18.5, 19-point favorite. Crowd on your side wants to see Marcus get his win, his first win. You're not facing elite. Settle in and win this game. Get this era going. Just do that. We need to do that. We need to get this going. The bowl game's the bowl game. Ohio State's its own circus. Time to get back to reality here. Your gimmies are kind of gone. Settle in, win the first game, rip off a string until Clemson. That's what I need. It's not what I want. It's what I need. So the first two weird ones are done. Settle in and win. And then don't lose again. And we get to Clemson week. We talk about how much better you've gotten from Ohio State to Clemson. And what do you do to get better in that gap against non-elite? You don't play anybody elite till Clemson again. Okay? So that's what we're staring at. So against Ohio State, the test last week was, could Marcus get the boys ready to go in there and play OSU and look like they belong? Not have that deer in headlights, Brian Kelly big game look, which, by the way, he still has. Different color shirt, still has same look and results. So here's the deal now. The test last week was, do you look like you're prepared for this moment in a way the other guy could never do? And that was accomplished. Now the issue is almost the exact opposite. Marshall's not Ohio State. You're coming off a big physical, emotional, draining loss. You cannot sleepwalk the first half of this game. That's Kelly type stuff. I need guys to be mad and show it right away against Marshall. That there's no way around it. Like, you need to see that. All right? This fan base, especially offensively, this fan base isn't going to react well in Notre Dame Stadium if you didn't do anything in the second half of the bowl game, nothing all game against Ohio State, and then you can't run it up on Marshall. It's going to get ugly. So, totally different mind frame needed this week. It isn't that big, hype, primetime game of the week. Natural juice. You got to create your own juice. Get this era off on the right foot. Get Marcus the first win and we move it on. And just get better. Marshall, 7-6 last year, non-power 5. 55-3 win over Norfolk State. I blow this team out. Blow this team out. Everybody's getting antsy. Marcus just needs that first win. Get things level. Get things back on a level footing. Here's where this gets offensive. This game is way more about Notre Dame than it is Marshall or Notre Dame Marshall. That is just the fact. What can Notre Dame work on here? All right? Now that pressure isn't game of the week OSU, you got to try and get this offense settled in. You should be able to work on the run game this week, right? Right? It's Marshall. It's Marshall. No offense to Marshall. The only problem with Marshall is they're Marshall. You should be able to work that run game out a little bit, right? Passing. Everybody involved needs reps. Reps they didn't get against Ohio State. Buckner needs them. The wide receivers need them. The offensive line needs practice protecting them. That passing game, it all needs work. You need to be able to work on those things this week, those big picture things. I get it. You didn't feel like you had the flexibility to cut it loose against Ohio State and do all that. I get it. This week's different. Now I need to see it. 10 for 18 passes? No. Work some stuff out. It drives me insane. I saw a ton of football all week, 5 days in a row. And I saw teams throw the ball all over. Teams that don't have a tenth of the talent on the Notre Dame roster. Throwing the ball all over. Just quick slants, outs, post patterns, quarterbacks I've never heard of, wide receivers I never heard of. Big plays all over the field. Quick strikes, slants over the middle. Beautiful fade routes, all of it. Where is it? Why are teams that don't have near the talent Notre Dame has able to throw the ball with ease and we're not? And we're not. And the thing is, it's like, well, John, Ohio State's good. You didn't want to, put it all on Buckner's arm right away. I'm not just talking about Ohio State. This passing game is always a problem for modern Notre Dame. It isn't just Ohio State. Passing game wasn't great last year either. So I just don't get it. So you need to work on whatever you can with this offense to build some confidence. There isn't much to build off of from Ohio State. You scored 10 points in a full football game. There ain't much to build off of. Sorry, there's not. You need to find some solid footing offensively. Other than surviving the battle of the moment not being too big for Buckner, I don't know how much he actually learned and advanced being in survival mode all night, running for his life on 43% of dropbacks. Offensive line making room for 2.5 yards a carry. How do you expect Buckner to get better when that's the dynamic? He can't. He just can't. So you got to start somewhere. Marshall has to be it. You got to relax a little bit. Open things up a little bit. Try some different offensive things. You were telling me Merriweather couldn't go out there and run down the field and try and catch one deep pass effort against Ohio State. That's what you want me to believe. You couldn't trust that fast young guy to go down the field once and throw him the ball, see what happens. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And if you're telling me, no, you couldn't trust him, well, whatever you did instead of that failed too. So if you want to give me good reasons, we didn't see Thomas and Merriweather or even more of an effort to stretch the ball or quick slants over the middle. Every other team in America runs for first downs every week. Multiple. Inside leverage. The receiver has to break. Whip that slant in their first down every time. I saw it 100 times this weekend. Not a part of the Notre Dame plan. I don't get that. I'll never get it. On those quick slants, the receiver has the leverage every time to dictate. I don't get it. Notre Dame refuses to use it. I don't get it. So you just need to find some solid footing offensively, something you could build off of, because I don't see anything from week one, really. What could you build off of? Other than the moment wasn't too big for the quarterback, what could you build off of? You couldn't run the ball, and you couldn't pass the ball. You got to start somewhere. Do it against Marshall. 55-3 win, Norfolk State. FCS, I can't measure anything off it. I can't. It's too low a level. I can't measure it. Marshall held them down to 114 yards and 5 first downs. Sounds impressive. It's Norfolk State, FCS. I don't know. Let's switch it over defensively for Notre Dame. Offensively, it's obvious. You got to get started. And so open things up, relax. Don't feel like you have to play perfect to win the way you did last week. You don't have to this week. You need to get things going. Everybody knew the offense was going to struggle. I didn't think it'd be this bad. They are starting from a worse spot than I thought. Offensive line, blame starts with you. Even over the wide receiver group, young quarterback, all that. Tommy Reese, play calling, conservative, all of it. Offensive line. We're offensive line. You, backbone of the program offensively. Harry's back. No, not good enough. Get a grip. Again, I take heat from this in our own fan base. All we want to say on social media, O-line you, O-line you, O-line you. All those guys that are in the NFL that we say O-line you about, none of them play good when we play these big teams at Notre Dame. They don't. They haven't. All the O-line you stuff, all those names in the NFL, when they were at Notre Dame, and this applies all the Kelly era till this minute, when they're at Notre Dame, they don't look good against the best teams. They don't. Even our best offensive lines in recent vintage. As soon as we play the biggest game of the year against the best team, you can't get to triple-digit running yards. So, hey, I like the offensive line you thing too. You need to start playing good against the best teams we play. And for all the offensive line credit we get, none of those guys play good in the best games at Notre Dame. Super frustrating, and I'm over it. Defensively for Notre Dame, you're starting in a much better spot. 21 to Ohio State. If you're only giving up 21 to Ohio State, shut out Marshall then. Only give up a field goal when you're winning by 45 and the second and third string guys are out there. I need tackles for loss. I need havoc. I need sacks. I need pressures. I need turnovers. All the stuff we didn't get against Ohio State, even in a good effort. Even in a good effort. One sack, only a couple pressures, not good enough against Ohio State. You needed to create more havoc. Linebackers blitzing, didn't love it, didn't time it up great. Didn't love it. Front four, Notre Dame's defensive line getting pressure without blitzing, hated it. There was none. Out of the first drive, there really was none. Not good enough. I get it, 21 points. I'm giving you credit. That kept us in the game. But if you can't rely on the offense, you might need to shut everybody out or keep them in single digits. But even with the 21, I need more havoc. I need more turnovers, strip sacks, tackles for loss. I need more havoc plays because this defense has to make up slack for the offense that's still slacking, holding the program down and back, holding them back. Oh, boy. Marshall's offense, 612 yards last week. 612, baby. That's a lot. So this is the week to get Freeman going. You're out of excuses. You're out of weird circumstances that you could use to go into why a game went that way. You used those two. You had two of them and you used them. Now I need you to win, stabilize the ship, and then rip off all these games need to be wins. Then we talk about where we're at against Clemson. There is no reason to lose to any team between Ohio State and Clemson. There ain't. There's no reason. So that's what I need. I want to find some Marshall stuff. Even their dynamic best running back isn't even playing. Left the team right before the season. I think it's like a mental health or personal reasons. Even their best guys out. Quarterback, 6'3", 220. That's a big boy. 6'3", 220. That guy's built. So, listen, I'm not trying to downgrade Marshall. I'm not. But Marshall and Cal are games that are all about Notre Dame. How is Notre Dame going to get better? The discussion for Marshall and Cal can't be, is Notre Dame going to win the game? No, we need to be way past that. That's got to be built in. And it's more, can we work on the biggest things we need to work on in this game? That's the angle. So it's not an affront to Marshall. It's just where the two programs are and what they are. This is what needs to happen. So I expect to see a lot more havoc from the defense. This offense, though, if you have a slow first half against Marshall, after what you've done the last game and a half, it's going to get rough. So I need you to figure it out to where this offense has people like me backing off the ledge. That's what I need to see. Get it done, ND.